Hello everybody and welcome to the August 2023 update from Clydebridge station. And first of all, I hope you enjoyed the video that I done at the Cooper Model Railway show. I had a great time at the show and I hope you enjoyed seeing what was on offer there, either on the video or if you actually attended the show. Now in this month's update we're going to be redoing platforms 3 and 4. They're going to get completely resurfaced, and we're also going to install one of these, and we've got a couple more of these, and I'll be showing you how I make this. You notice I've not got that stuck down now, but I'll be showing you how I make one of those, how I do the platforms, and we're also going to be building an advertising hoarding as well. And you'll have seen the Tyne Tees ident at the start there. That one dates from 1979, but Tyne Tees had been using the same logo from 1970 onwards. There's a bit of a northeast theme in this month's update because we've also got a locomotive, a new loco on the layout as well, which you'll see later on, which for a long while was based in the Tyne Tees area and is actually named after something that ran or operated in what is nowadays the Tyne Tees area. So you'll see that as well during the programme. And if we've got time, we'll build the gatehouse up at the depot. So that's what you're going to get to see in this month's update. As usual, there'll be the regular shout outs, and we'll start off with the regular two, of course, which are Dean Park Station and Everard Junction. Give those two a check out, please. That's the two that inspired me to get back into modelling many years ago. And I'll give a shout out to Eden Road TMD. Now you'll find him on Facebook and Twitter, and that man that runs that layout is the exhibition manager for the Cooper Model Railway Club, who once again provided an excellent show up at the Corn Exchange recently. And if you're in Scotland, in fact you don't have to be in Scotland, join the Facebook group Scottish Railway Modellers. They'll make you more than welcome. I'm on it, so check out Clydebridge station. So we'll get underway with this month's update, and just for the record, the locomotives that you see here at the buffer stops are 47831 Bolton Wanderer, 47346 which is in the Civil Engineers Dutch livery, and 47712 you can just see there in the Parcels Red sector livery. So that's what's coming up in this month's update, and we're going to start off with a billboard. I'm going to show you how to make a scale model scenery billboard. Any comments, queries, suggestions, put them in the comments box below, and enjoy what you're about to see. We begin up here in the house where I've been doing something in connection with this kit here that we're going to build first of all. It'll go into the platforms later on in the video when I show you how I make the platforms. And it's the Scale Model Scenery billboard kit, Kilo X-ray 019 Oscar Oscar. You'll need the Yoo-hoo glue, cutting mat, knife, steel ruler. For God's sake, don't do a Justin Noble and cut yourself using that equipment. And you may well actually find that you could get away with using laser cut kit glue as well. The kit comes with instructions, some adverts, the parts to make 2 billboards, and the wraps for the billboards. However, you could go away with making your own adverts as well. See, the one thing I would say about these adverts is these are actually suitable, most of them anyway, for a layout from the 2000s, whereas my layout is set in 1990, so a little bit of ingenuity has been done. That advert is suitable, that one or that one are suitable, as is that one and that one. And yes, okay, maybe that one as well. Anyway, the others are not in the right era for me, but I've been on my computer and I've designed this one for Tyne Tees Television. I'll just zoom in like that. The inspiration for this advert has come from a couple of sources. the famous HTV adverts, which were located above the concourse at Paddington Station. HTV, or Harlech Television, was of course the franchise holder for ITV areas in Wales and West. Nowadays it's ITV Wales and ITV West country. The reason that HTV advertised at Paddington was that a lot of the intercity services would go through the HTV area: Bristol, Westbury, Cardiff, Swansea, Llanelli, Weston-super-Mare. So that's why they've done that. The inspiration for this advert comes partly from that, and there is obviously the Regional Railways Express service from Clydebridge to Newcastle, so that's why I've chosen that. The advert itself is based upon one that I saw on a bus at Whitley Bay in 1991, and there is actually a photo of it, of the same advert on another Go Ahead Northern Leyland Atlantean, this time at Gateshead Interchange, also in 1991, with Tom O'Connor Entertains Us. The photo shows Tom O'Connor on the set of Crosswits, a game show that was filmed and made by Tyne Tees. But Tom O'Connor presented a series for Tyne Tees called Tom O'Connor Entertains. That's where this advert is coming from. Your station back home, winning through with Tyne Tees. And that's going to go onto the billboard that will sit on platform 4. So that's what it is based upon. When I designed this on my laptop originally, I printed off a test copy on paper. This is actually printed off on card. I printed it off on paper initially and measured it up against these ones. And I had to resize the lettering and resize the billboard. Third time lucky, it come out perfectly. So I've printed it off on the card, and if I need to trim it, I've got plenty of space at the bottom and on the sides to trim it if need be. I'll find out about that when I get down there. Just a brief history about Tyne Tees Television. It held the franchise for the North East and North Yorkshire area of ITV from its creation in 1959. It was originally going to be called Tyne Wear and Tees, but the ITA, Independent Television Authority, felt that was too long-winded, so it took the name of the two major rivers in its region, Tyne Tees. The actual operating area of Tyne Tees ran from South Northumberland right down to North Yorkshire, including Scarborough and York. Some of it was an overlap with Yorkshire Television. North Northumberland, by the way, was covered by Border Television until 2012, where digital TV and the transmitter there was handed over to Tyne Tees. It broadcast from studios at City Road near Manners BR, and from 1982 Manners Metro Station. The ident that you just saw there, it's preceding this part, was the one that was used from 1991, and the first ident you saw was our most famous one of all from 1979, although the Tyne Tees actual joined up symbol was first used in 1970. You'll see another one of these Tyne Tees idents later on when we look at 47401 in detail. Tyne Tees made quite a few famous shows during the years, including Super Gran, starring a Scottish woman, Gudrun Ure, and the theme tune was sung by a Scotsman, Billy Connolly. There you go, fact fans. The Paper Lads was another Tyne Tees production. The Tube was a Tyne Tees production for Channel 4. That programme took its name from the plastic covered walkway that went into Studio 5 at City Road. Northern Life, later Tyne Tees Today, later North East Tonight, was the main news programme for the area. Chain Letters, hosted by amongst others Dave Spikey and Jeremy Beadle. Crosswits, hosted by Tom O'Connor, were quiz games that were broadcast to the network. Local programming also included the likes of Tyne Tees Sunday, which I believe was hosted by Paul Frost. And there was also the arts programme East Coast Mainline. And another one for you fact fans, it had at the start footage in the cab of a Class 91 locomotive on the East Coast Mainline, filmed in Peterborough. Tyne Tees held its franchise in the 1980 round and also in the 1991 auction, but it later merged with Yorkshire Television, although in reality it was a YTV takeover and things were just moved down gradually to Leeds, leaving only a token service at City Road. Eventually all that was left there was the news, and that was moved to the Watermark Business Park in Gateshead in 2005, and that's really the only stuff made now by Tyne Tees is the local news. City Road studios are now demolished, and in their place as student accommodation. The pub that was next door to it, Egypt Cottage, which was frequented by Tyne Tees staff, has also gone as well. That said student accommodation is on there. Famous personalities from the region include, on Tyne Tees, include announcers such as Bill Steele, Neville Wanless, Jonathan Morell, and newsreaders including Pam Royal, Ian Payne, Paul Frost, and reporters such as Greg Eastdale, Robin Davies, Andy Croots. So that's a brief history of Tyne Tees Television. There is actually a private Facebook group, the Tyne Tees Nostalgia page. If you do wish to join that, you'll need to search for it on Facebook, and you will have to be verified before you allowed to join the group, and your posts will have to be verified before they're accepted on the group. So there you go. Any passengers arriving on that train from Newcastle, that's your station back home, Tyne Tees Television. Right, I think it's time we get down to the layout and we start building this so we know how it's going to look like. And later on in the programme we'll have a look at how it'll look on the platforms before I get it finally installed. And speaking of the northeast of England, check out West Blyth MPD, a layout set in the northeast of England. You'll find it here on YouTube as well. We're down in the shed now, and what you do with this is the instructions say cut out parts A from the card sheet, which is that there. I've only cut out the one now, and then the texture wrap sheet, you cut out the base planking wraps, which is the blank billboard wraps, which is that. So on here it would be that there. And what you've then got to do is to glue into position at the top of A, and notice the items are actually lettered on the sheet, so you'll be absolutely fine with that. Yoo-hoo glue, spread it on, and we'll get that up there. Then you cut out the base planking wraps, and these are, and they would actually sit here, that's them all here, and you would put out a wall mounted one. You would cut along the blue lines first, then cut out. I'm actually cutting the whole thing out because I'm actually going to be keeping this one on the platform, although at a future time on the layout I will be installing a wall mounted one or two, so there'll be so that I will need to actually do it differently then. I need to Yoo-hoo glue this on and then get the base planking wraps done, and then we'll look at it from there. And please note, by the way, I'm using Yoo-hoo glue here because I find it the best. It does say PVA or Evo stick wood glue are sufficient as well, or even a Pritt stick type glue stick as well, but I'm using Yoo-hoo glue because I actually find it is a lot better for this sort of job than what the like the Pritt stick done, because I used that on the street scene for some of the pavements and they've not come out very well. Obviously I'll be resurfacing the street scene in years to come, so we'll obviously get a look at that then. Already it's looking like a billboard. Now, I must make a confession, when I was cutting out the long base planking wrap, I actually damaged the first one, as you can see there. Now all is not lost with that, because depending upon how this looks on the layout on the platform later on in the programme, if it sits fine and there's enough space, I'll do billboards back to back, and that damaged one can go onto the other billboard. So all is not lost there. I've got the wrap round on the other side, and it says to colour with a felt tip pen at the bottom, although I'm going to actually miss that step out personally, but you can do it if you want to. What I now need to do is cut out the frame wrap and frame B, which is up here. That's C, no, that's B and that's C. So it's this frame wrap here, and cut that out, and then there's a frame wrap, which is this here. What you then do is glue frame B centrally onto this frame wrap, because you're going to have to fold it in. And then once I've done that, you fold round and glue down all the inner flaps, score the wrap on the unprinted side to ensure crisp, clean folds, and then fold round and glue down bottom outer frame flap only. Okay, bear with me, and whilst I'm doing all that, and whilst I'm boring you to death, go and check out two country music piano players. One is from the northwest of England, Preston D. Barnes. You'll actually find him here on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Another one you'll also find here on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook, Eric Burgett. He's from America. Go and check them out, please. And I'll put the link to one of Preston D. Barnes' tunes up in the top right hand corner. It's becoming a bit more like a billboard now. What I've done for the wrap here was I actually used laser cut kit glue to stick it on and stick the wrap onto it, and then what I've got to do is put laser cut kit glue around these three flaps and then glue them down. I've got my billboard advert ready to go in. Now I must make a confession, I've had to trim this a couple of times just to get it to fit, but there it is. That'll get glued down with Yoo-Hoo glue, and then it'll get stuck into position. Now it is a little bit loose. One little tip I will give you, by the way, it's been suggested by Scale Model Scenery that you can actually use little blobs of blue tack if you want to change the adverts over from time to time, or remove the advert, as I've just done here, to leave it looking like that. So you can actually do that if you want to, but I'm going to glue mine down because this is going to be permanently in place. But that won't be done until I've got the wraps done there, and I'll crack on with that. And by the way, all the links to the stuff that I've been using from Scale Model Scenery and West Hill Wagon Works will be detailed in the description below, so go and check all of that out. And while we're here, give a shout out to March West TMD, which is here on YouTube, and also to Barnabas Junction, which you'll find on Threads, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. So if you give Barnabas Junction a check out, please as well. I've turned it over now because I've put on there the billboard rear panel, and you'll see these three black lines there. Part C go like that. You glue two of them together using laser cut kit glue for that, and they're part C on your sheet, or your grey board sheet. And then cut a short length of post capping, which is here, the short length, and then what you do is you just wrap that round and then you glue that on. Once you've done that, cut out the support post straps and glue the post straps onto one side of each post, then allow to dry. Now I actually have two here that I've already cut out, and there you go. And then that'll be you can then glue that on. I'll go and get them all glued together, get everything together, and then we'll see the finished product. Now, it won't be going on the layout right now because obviously I've got to do the station platforms, get them resurfaced first. But I felt doing this first would give you an idea of how it would look. I'll just place it there and you could see. This is not going to be its final position, it's going to be further down here, I think. Yes, I think that's about right there. And then off camera I'll build the second one and get that stuck into position. I'll just use one of the generic adverts, probably the Monster Munch one. But when it comes to me installing more of them in the future, I'll use the generic ones that's there, as well as making my own ones, such as the one for the clothing brand I represent, Wrangler. And you can check them out at www.wrangler.com, and that'll take you to the local site in your territory. Yeah, that would look good on that as well. That's well into the future. I'll go and get all these glued together, and then get it all put together. And by the way, a little tip: when you're using your laser cut kit glue, damp tissue there in the bottom of your jar, and when you're not using your glue, put that in there. Once you're finished with it, get a syringe that you can get, like so from Scale Model Scenery or Boots the Chemist. Hot water through it a few times, that'll clear your syringe, that'll clear your nozzle for you for the next time. There we have it. I've also included Clear Channel there as the agency company. There's also JC Dessaw supplied, but you could put your own ones on, like say CBS Outdoor or Moro Farrell. There's all sorts of companies that depending upon your era. Now here's a little suggestion for scale model scenery. I remember back in the 1980s when the bus stop for buses going to Lochgelly at Cowdenbeath High Street was at the railway bridge, just opposite where there's now a Gap site with seating near a pub. There used to be a half-size version of this, or maybe a 1/3 size version of this actually. It was mounted up on the embankment next to the railway. There's a little product idea for scale model scenery. Justin, Sam, Ian, if you're all listening or watching, one of them that's about a 1/3 size like that would be a good idea as well. That would be a sort of 24 sheet one, a 16 sheet one effectively. This is a 48 sheet one. And although it's not going on yet, I think about there will look pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now off camera I'll build the other one, which I'll put back to back and see how it looks. But I'm quite happy with that so far. I'm sure those on the Tyne Tees Facebook group will be pleased with that as well. From billboards, we'll get onto the platforms. And speaking of platforms, check out a boy band from Glasgow I had the pleasure of meeting recently, Just the Brave. They've got a tune out called Stations. Give them a check out on Instagram, YouTube, Threads, Facebook and Twitter. Well, as a wasp very kindly comes into the scene, goodbye wasp. This is the stuff that I'm going to be using for resurfacing the platforms. scale model scenery, TX20500, platform paper, steel rule, craft knife, Yoo-hoo glue. What I'm going to do here is, if I just zoom that in here, this is from P&D Marsh Models. I'm going to, there's a little bit at the bottom there, just where my finger is. I don't know how well you can see that. See it white there where it's been drilled into the platform in the past. They have a tendency to wobble. So what I'm going to do is cut off the bottom of that, and then it'll be super glued, as will the station signs be super glued. And I'll use track cutters to actually cut that off. This will be Yoo-hoo glued on, however. And the length I'm needing is 7 centimetres. Now what I'll do is I'll cut that along and then glue that into position, keeping the tarmac, because that might come in handy later on if I decide to redo the station concourse. And then this bit will get glued on, and I'll do that all the way along. Then once I've got that done, and that's glued down, I'll give that some time to dry. I'll start to glue the items back into position that are on the platform. And towards the end of the platform, we'll obviously put in the advertising hoarding as well that I've made up that you've already seen. I've got an idea of where I want to position that, and I'll actually build the second one up the other side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a advert that's on this sheet here this time, probably this one here. For open wide Monster Munch crisps. Well, people say I've got a big mouth anyway, so why not? Right, so that's what I'm going to do here. That'll take some time to do. Whilst I'm actually doing all that, go and check out something in Blackpool called Cowboy & Co. It's a country music venue in Blackpool. I'll put the link to their Instagram in the description below. Quite an apt thing that I've already mentioned. I'm a brand ambassador for Wrangler jeans. Country music and Wrangler go hand in hand, so I would recommend if you want to go to Country & Co and see some country music artists, get yourself a pair of Wrangler jeans anyway. That's platforms 3 and 4 resurfaced. When I mentioned earlier it was a 7 centimetre cut I was making on the paper, I meant from this bit here, not the actual start of the sheet where the wrap round bit is. I noticed that just before I went to make the first cut, and I'm just kind of glad I did, because that would have mucked everything up. I've overlapped it this time as well, so that should cover over any gaps hopefully. I think what you've seen here, this is the one that's really bad, and that'll be getting done at another point. All the furniture is back in place, either glued down with super glue or laser cut kit glue, with the exception of the seats here. The people sitting on the seats are glued in with Yoo-hoo glue. This is glued down with super glue, and there's a little lean to it, but hopefully when I build the other hoarding and put it at the back of it, that'll correct that lean. When I was mentioning about some of the famous people from Tyne Tees, there's two others that I forgot to mention. One's Mike Neville. Although more associated with the BBC in the North East, he started his career at Tyne Tees, then he spent 30 odd years with the BBC North East in Newcastle before jumping ship back to Tyne Tees in 1996 for the launch of North East Tonight. And he stayed with Tyne Tees for I think about 10 years before retiring. Another person, and given the fact I'm based in Fife, it's quite appropriate I mention this other man, Bob Johnson, who for many years was the Tyne Tees weatherman. He actually worked for 17 years, I believe, full time at Tyne Tees as their weatherman, and then went part time for a few years before finally retiring. He's actually from Kincardine, so he's actually a Fifer. So that's two other people. Transdiffusion, as I say, they've got a section all about Tyne Tees, so I'll pop the link in the description below, and I'll also add into the description below the a another link that's on the Transdiffusion website, and it's to an online copy of the Regional Railways manual, Corporate Identity Manual from 1991, just after the launch of Regional Railways, or its rebrand from Provincial in December 1990. It's well worth a read, and it will give you some modelling ideas as well. Next up, I'll show you how to make this, which is the trolley rack. To make the trolley bay up, I'm going to be using this West Hill Wagon Works key clamp safety railing ends. These would normally be used where you've got railings, which you'll see when we come to do this bit here eventually, that will keep people away from the track there, although the concrete will be cut off and there'll be a lot of ballast there. And these would just go at the ends. What I'm going to do is, I'll show you with one of them, and I'll get it opened up now. Now, these actually come as a pack of 4. When you look at the one that's already been built, if you see there, I've actually got 2 end bits here. And what I'm going to do is, I'll put this on the track so it'll be easier for you to see. When I build it, I'll cut this bit off here. I'll do the same with the other one. And then I'll glue this part to the other part there. And that'll make the trolley bay. And it'll sit there. I've then got to just make the trolleys up. Well, the trolleys are made up. I've just got to spray paint them. That'll actually be done in the September update when I get some more grey aerosol primer, which I'm going to need, excuse me, for the depot fence. So you will see that then. But that's what that's going to be like. And I'll just glue them together. It's literally no more than a 10-minute job. Tools required will be plastic cement or glue, super glue, tweezers, and a craft knife and a cutting mat. You can do that in about 10 minutes using one of those. Except it's probably a little bit bigger than what you would normally expect to have for a 00 gauge, but these are just absolutely ideal. But it's a good idea for West Hill Wagon Works or scale model scenery. If you could make one of those in future, a proper trolley bay, that would be something that would be appreciated by enthusiasts, I'm pretty sure. It'll just sit in this bit here. I know at some stations they have them, they'll have them in various parts of the platforms, but for the purposes of this layout, they're just going to be located towards the ends of the platforms. For some reason that one didn't go together as well as the first one. I managed to get a bit of glue onto the platform, so I've disguised it by putting a trolley in there, but again that's not stuck down. Now that's the platform done. What I also done while I was here, I've took the opportunity to put another couple of these uncouplers in. You can just see them there. I'll just put the camera in, you can just see them there in platforms 2 and 3. So that's uncouplers done for there. I'll need uncouplers over in the depot area, but that's for another time. And that is both advertising hoardings in place. I'm not going to put any more advertising hoardings in the station because I feel that it might make the station look very cluttered indeed, and I think one back to back here is enough. What will happen in the future is I'm going to have to redo this, the shopping centre area, because those windows could be made a lot better than what they are, and I'll maybe move this sign up a bit and put an advertising hoarding here. It's been suggested I could have a hoarding here or on there, and what I might do is actually have one of the hoardings with only half an advert and the person pasting on the advert up ladders. So that's an option I'll do for the future, and it'll also allow me to improve the Wrangler advert here and here as well. I'll do something with that in the future, but that's a well into the future. Seats are in position, as I say. I'm they're put in such a place that it's where the uncouplers are, so I know exactly where to stop the locomotives. We're going to carry on the North East theme in a minute, but I think there's not going to be enough time in this month's update for me to go and build the security hut for here, so I think it'll probably be better anyway to do it in the September update, when I'm actually going to be doing a little bit more work here, including putting in some new street lights and putting in fencing in and making preparations for starting off the work here in the depot area, which will also include this man. He's going to get moved next month from here over to here, so that's a bit of work that I'm going to do next month. Now, before we do finish off, to keep with the North East theme for this month's update, there's a new locomotive on the layout. Let me bring it in for you. Well, we'll move from Tyne Tees Television to something else that was associated with the North East of England. And just before I do that, the idents that you saw there, the first one was from 1979 to 1988. The second one using this logo was used from 1991 to 1992, when the Tyne Tees logo that you see there was familiar, was replaced with a more chunky one. And the third one, which you've just seen there with flowing rivers, was in use from 1988 to 1991. Well, the new arrival is appropriately something to do with the North East as well, and it's actually got the name that's associated with the North East. And as a Class 47 fan, well, I had to get this, didn't I? The very first Class 47 built, D1500, which rolled off the brush production line at Loughborough in 1962. She's portrayed here in her preserved condition, and indeed her condition from 1986 to 1988, when she lost the name North Eastern, which you can just see in there with the North Eastern Railway crest. Built new, as I say, as D1500 in 1962. She was one of the first 20 pre-production batch of Class 47s, and in fact she was also a very popular machine for many years, and still is. Fitted with the equipment that was due to go into the cancelled batch of 20 Class 46 locomotives. This, along with the other 19 pre-production models, were called the generators, and of course you've seen the other celebrity generator on the layout, 47406 Rail Riders. 47401 is a Vitrains model, second Vitrains model that I've got on the layout. However, this Vitrains model, I must say, this is no disrespect to the person who sold it to me, because I'm sure they would have the same complaint as I do. It says something about model railways that Bachmann and Hornby, and I believe Helion as well, were able to put all these handles on, and show you there, they were already factory fitted, whereas Vitrains put them in the detailing pack and you had to fit them yourself, and I have actually lost one of the handles. It also says something that Hornby's Railroad 47, and I have one on the layout, 47583, whilst not to the same standard of fitment, these items were also fitted to the Hornby Railroad 47s from new. So this is, so I have to say, it's one criticism that I've got of Vitrains, that they could not put those handles on and factory fit them. Vitrains currently don't serve the UK market. They did come into the market first of all in the early 2010s with a Class 37 locomotive, and they branched out into other designs as well, like the Class 47. But currently they do not serve the UK market. The Italian-based company does serve other markets, however, within Europe, but you will not get brand new British models currently. Now the detailing on the locomotive otherwise is quite good. The fans are very visible there. Grey roof. I'm not weathering it, but you could weather it if you wanted to, and it's also got the maker's plate on there too. One other thing I wouldn't want to get used to with this machine is the fact that the way that Vitrains have designed some of it, there's bits on the bogies that actually come down, and I've actually had to remove one of them because it was fouling the track. I've not had that problem with any of my other locomotives, so it's something just to watch out for if you're buying a Vitrains 47. But the very first Class 47 ever built, 1962, and as a Class 47 fan I knew I just had to get this machine. Well, that completes the August update here at Clydebridge Station with its North East of England theme. I'll leave you with some running shots of trains coming into and out of platforms 3, 4 and 5 I suppose as well, with some tannoy announcements, which I'll talk about in the next video. You'll see that in a couple of weeks' time when I talk about tannoy announcements and how you can make them. All that remains for me to do is to say thank you very much indeed for watching this month's update, and I look forward to your company next time. Please, whatever you're doing, do take care of yourselves, won't you, and enjoy your lives, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.
Next train to depart on platform 4 will be the 11:15 Regional Railway Service to Newcastle, calling at Hamilton Central, Lockerbie, Carlisle, Haltwhistle, Hexham, Metro Centre, and Newcastle only. This train is formed of 3 coaches.